The discovery. The scanner beeped 3 times before Commander Kelzar realized what she was looking at. Her 6 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep confusion among her species. The Zentari. The readings couldn't be right. Nothing survived. On designation 17Z, Lieutenant Vex confirmed these readings. Kelzar's voice carried across the bridge of the Galactic patrol vessel Harmony's Edge. The insectoid officer clicked his mandibles nervously. Confirmed, Commander. We're detecting an artificial structure emerging from 17Z's atmosphere. It appears to be a ship. The bridge fell silent. Every member of the crew knew what 17Z meant. In the Galactic Registry, it was classified as a Category 15 death world, the highest rating possible. The planet's surface temperature fluctuated between -80 and +120 degrees in a single rotation. Its atmosphere contained toxins that could melt most known alloys. The gravity wells shifted unpredictably, and the native life forms were so aggressive they attacked their own shadows. Set an intercept course, Kelzar ordered, her scales shifting to a darker shade of blue. And activate all defensive systems. The vessel that emerged from 17Z's hellish atmosphere looked like it had been assembled by madmen. Thick layers of scarred metal covered its hull, with visible patch jobs and modifications that defied all known engineering principles. It moved slowly, almost limping through space. Life signs? Kelzar asked. Multiple but faint. The readings are unusual. Vex's antennae twitched. Whatever's in there, it's not in our database. The boarding party found the ship's interior even more disturbing than its exterior. Corridors were narrow and reinforced with scavenged materials. Warning signs in an unknown script covered the walls. The air recyclers hummed with a desperate efficiency. They found the cryobay deep in the ship's core. 12 pods lined the walls, but only 3 showed active status. The medical readouts displayed data that made the Zentari medic step back in shock. Commander, these beings, their bodies show extreme adaptation. Bone density increased by 200%. Muscle fibers restructured for maximum efficiency. Neural pathways. By the void, their brains have developed new sections entirely. Kelzar approached the nearest pod. Through the frosted glass, she could make out a face. Bipedal. Forward-facing. Eyes. No natural armor or weapons. It looked almost fragile. Open it, she ordered. The pod hissed open, releasing a cloud of preservation gases. The being inside stirred, then suddenly its eyes snapped open. Brown eyes, Kelzar noted. Warm, intelligent, and absolutely unafraid. The creature sat up slowly, scanning the room. When it spoke, the universal translator struggled with the language before settling on a translation. Well, the being said, stretching muscles that rippled, with unnatural strength. I guess the rescue party finally arrived. Though you're about 2 years late. The translator identified the being human. Species presumed extinct after their homeworld became uninhabitable centuries ago. I am Commander Kelzar of the Galactic Patrol. You emerged from designation 17Z. How did you survive? The human laughed, a sound that sent chills through Kelzar's neural pathways. Survive? Commander, we didn't just survive. We made it home. Home? Kelzar's scales paled. That death world is your home? The human stood, and despite being shorter than most of the patrol members, there was something in its posture that made them all step back. I'm Captain Elena Vasquez. My colony ship, the New Horizon, crashed on that planet 3 years ago. 200 souls. We adapted. Impossible, Vex chittered. No species can adapt to a Category 15 world. Elena's smile was sad but fierce. You underestimate humanity, Lieutenant. We don't just adapt to hostile environments. We conquer them. Over the next hours, Elena told her story. The crash that should have killed them all. The first terrible months when they lost half their number to the planet's dangers. How they learned to use the acidic atmosphere to forge new alloys. How they tamed the shifting gravity wells to power their equipment. How they turned predators into prey. There, Are more of us, Elena said, checking the other pods. We sent this ship as a scout to see if the galaxy was ready to know we're still alive. Kelzar's mind raced. If humans could survive on 17Z, what else were they capable of? The Galactic Council had always feared species that could thrive in extreme conditions. They were unpredictable, dangerous. How many humans remain on the planet? She asked carefully. Elena's eyes hardened. Enough. And Commander, I need you to understand something. We're not the same species that left Earth. That world changed us, made us stronger, smarter, more resilient. She walked to the viewing port, gazing back at the hell world she'd called home. We call it perseverance now, because that's what it taught us. The second pod opened, revealing another human. This one was larger, with visible scarring across exposed skin. He awoke instantly, eyes focusing on the aliens with predatory intensity. Drake, Elena said softly. Stand down. There you howdy. The translator glitched on the last word before rendering it as friendly. Drake relaxed marginally, but kept watching the patrol members like a predator studying prey. His movements were fluid, controlled. Every gesture spoke of barely contained power. Commander Kelzar, Elena continued, I need to be honest with you. We've been monitoring galactic communications from our world. We know about the fear of death, world species. We know what usually happens when the Council discovers a thriving population on a Category 15 planet. Kelzar's scales darkened. The human was right. Protocol dictated that Death World species be contained or eliminated before they could spread. They were considered too dangerous, too unpredictable. But we're not your enemy, Elena insisted. Yes, we've changed. Yes, we're stronger than we were. But we're still human. We still value peace, cooperation, art, love. The planet didn't take that from us. It just made us harder to kill. The third pod remained sealed, its occupant still in deep cryo. Elena glanced at it with an expression Kelzar couldn't read. That's Marcus, our engineer. He's different. The planet affected him more than most. We kept him under until we knew it was safe. Different how? Kelzar asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted to know. He can interface with technology in ways we don't fully understand. The planet's electromagnetic fields did something to his neural structure. He helped us build this ship from scrap in 6 months. The implications were staggering. Humans hadn't just survived the death world, they'd evolved beyond their original specifications. They'd become something new, something potentially terrifying to the established galactic order. Kelzar made her decision. We're taking you to the Council. They need to know about this. Elena nodded slowly. I expected as much. But Commander, understand this, we won't be caged, we won't be studied like specimens. We survived hell itself, we earned our place in this galaxy. As the Harmony's Edge prepared to depart, Kelzar couldn't shake the feeling that she'd just discovered something that would change everything. Humans hadn't just survived a death world, they'd made it their own. And if they could do that, what else were they capable of? The ship turned away from designation 17Z, from Perseverance, carrying its impossible cargo toward the heart of the Galactic Council. Behind them, the Death World continued its violent dance, unaware that it had given birth to something the galaxy had never seen before. Humans who had looked into the abyss survived its stare and emerged stronger than ever. The age of the adapted humans had begun. The revelation, the council chamber of the Galactic Assembly, stood as a monument to order and civilization. Representatives from 100 worlds gathered in tiered seats, their forms ranging from crystalline entities to gaseous beings contained in specialized suits. At the center of it all stood Elena Vasquez, flanked by her 2 awakened companions. Hi. Arbiter Zix Theta's iridescent wings hummed as they reviewed the data. Captain Vasquez, the medical scans of your physiology are disturbing. Your species has undergone rapid evolutionary changes that should have taken millions of years. Elena stood calmly, though her enhanced senses picked up the fear pheromones from half the assembled delegates. Necessity is a harsh teacher, Arbiter. We adapted or died. We chose to adapt. But at what cost? The question came from Ambassador Krex of the Vortanian Empire. Your muscle density, neural plasticity, even your cellular structure. You're no longer human as we understood the term. Drake shifted slightly, and a dozen security officers tensed. Elena placed a gentle hand on his arm. We are more human than ever, Ambassador. We've simply become what we needed to be. The questioning continued for hours. How many humans remained on Perseverance? What weapons had they developed? Could they leave the death world without dying? Elena answered carefully, truthfully, but withholding certain information. She didn't mention the underground cities they'd carved from living rock. She didn't speak of the symbiotic relationships they'd formed with some of the planet's deadliest creatures. She certainly didn't mention that Marcus, still in cryosleep aboard the patrol vessel, had developed abilities that bordered on the supernatural. We request formal recognition as a sovereign world, Elena finally declared. Perseverance is our home now. We've earned it through blood and sacrifice. The chamber erupted in debate. Some called for immediate military intervention. Others argued for scientific study. A few voices suggested quarantine. It was during this chaos that the alarms began. The first warning came from perimeter sensors, unknown vessels emerging from hyperspace. The second came from the patrol ship holding the human vessel. Marcus's cryopod had opened on its own. What's happening? Demanded the High Arbiter. Elena's enhanced hearing picked up the communications chatter before anyone else. Her lips curved into a smile that was equal parts pride and warning. My people got worried when we didn't report back, she said calmly. They've come looking for us. The view screen flickered to life, showing 6 ships emerging from hyperspace. Like the scout vessel, they were ugly things, brutal amalgamation of scavenged technology and impossible engineering. But they moved with perfect coordination, taking defensive positions around the council station. Impossible, someone whispered. Deathworld inhabitants can't achieve interstellar travel. Tell that to them, Elena replied. A new voice cut through the communications array. Deep, resonant, with an odd harmonic quality that made several delegates wince. Galactic Council, this is Marcus Chen of the Perseverance Collective. Release our people immediately, or we will be forced to demonstrate why death worlds breed the galaxy's most efficient survivors. The security forces scrambled, but Elena raised her hand. Stop. Just listen. The view screen shifted, showing the bridge of the lead human vessel. Marcus stood at the center, but he was changed. His eyes held an inner light, and when he moved, technology around him responded without touch. Cables and interfaces seemed to reach toward him like living things. The planet taught us many things, Marcus continued. How to harness quantum fluctuations in gravity wells. How to process thought through electromagnetic fields. How to bend the laws of physics through sheer will and necessity. To demonstrate, one of the human ships vanished, not into hyperspace but simply ceasing to exist in one location and appearing in another. Teleportation. Something the greatest minds in the galaxy had deemed impossible. We don't want war, Elena said to the stunned council, but we won't be prisoners either. We propose a different path. She gestured, and Drake stepped forward, producing a small device. When activated, it projected a holographic image of Perseverance, but not as the death world the galaxy knew. This showed cities of impossible architecture, farms that grew in defiance of the toxic atmosphere, children playing in specialized habitats. We've begun terraforming our world, Elena explained. Not to make it Earth-like, but to create something new. A bridge between what we were and what we've become. We can teach others to survive in extreme environments. We can explore worlds deemed uninhabitable. We can be the galaxy's pioneers in the most dangerous frontiers. High Arbiter. Zix Theta's wings stilled. You're proposing an alliance? I'm proposing evolution, Elena replied. The galaxy fears death worlds because they represent chaos, unpredictability. But chaos drives adaptation. Adaptation drives growth. We've spent so long seeking safe, comfortable worlds that we've forgotten how to truly evolve. The debate that followed was unlike any in Council history. Some species, particularly those from harsh worlds themselves, spoke in favor of the human proposal. Others remained fearful. But as the discussion continued, a remarkable thing happened. Marcus, still connected to his ship's systems through means no one understood, began sharing data. Not weapons, specifications, or military intelligence, but art. Music composed in the howling winds of perpetual storms. Poetry written in the brief moments between catastrophic events. Images of humans and native creatures working together, of children being taught by parents how to dance between lightning strikes. "This is what we've become," Elena said softly. "Not monsters, not conquerors. Survivors who found beauty in hell itself." The vote, when it came, was closer than anyone predicted. But in the end, pragmatism won. The humans of Perseverance were granted provisional status as a sovereign world, with Elena appointed as their first ambassador to the Galactic Council. As the session concluded, Kelzar approached Elena. "You knew they were coming," the commander said. "It wasn't a question." Elena nodded. "We're linked now, all of us who survived. The planet created a quantum entanglement between our neural patterns. Distance doesn't matter anymore." "And Marcus?" "He's our interface with technology. I'm our voice. Drake is our shield. Others have different roles. We're not just individuals anymore. We're a collective consciousness that maintains individuality. The planet taught us that survival sometimes means becoming more than the sum of our parts." Kelzar's scales shifted through a spectrum of colors, the Zentari equivalent of deep thought. "What you've become, it frightens me, but it also gives me hope. Perhaps the galaxy has grown too comfortable, too afraid of challenge." Elena smiled, and for the first time it reached her eyes. "Commander, you haven't seen anything yet. We have proposals for joint expeditions to other death worlds. Imagine what we might find. What other species might be out there, transformed by necessity into something extraordinary." As the human ships departed, carrying their representatives, back to Perseverance, the galaxy watched with a mixture of fear and fascination. The age of comfortable expansion was ending. The age of adaptation had begun. On the bridge of her ship, Elena looked back at the council station, then forward to the stars. Somewhere out there were other death worlds, other challenges, other opportunities for growth. "Set course for home," she ordered. "We have a galaxy to change." The ships vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind a fundamentally altered universe. Humanity had returned from extinction, forged in the crucible of a world that should have killed them. Instead, it had made them into exactly what the galaxy needed: pioneers for a new age of exploration, adaptation, and growth. The Death World hadn't created monsters. It had created tomorrow's architects of impossible possibilities, and this was just the beginning.